Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
The San Diego Council on Literacy brings you Literacy for All with your host, Jose Cruz.
Welcome to the show. I'm Jose Cruz from the San Diego Council on Literacy. You're listening to the Literacy for All radio show. We're on WS Radio, and our guest today is Kristen Fogle. She is the Executive Director of San Diego Writers, Inc. That's INK. Welcome to the show, Kristen.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. This is fantastic. We have 4 segments, about 10, 11, 12 minutes each, and kind of wanted to break things down a little bit. We do want to know, first of all, for our listeners, if you could tell us the mission statement for, and this is a test, by the way, and I know you know it. I know you know it, but anyway, try that on some people that you work closely with. What is your mission statement? What are you doing there?
Yeah, no, and you've caught me with very little coffee in my body, so thanks for the test right from the get-go. That's nice of you. So we're a nonprofit organization, San Diego Writers, Inc. We serve as this hub for the literary community, and we do that by promoting literature, by providing artistic development for writers of all levels, and facilitating artistic collaboration. So that looks like working with a bunch of great people in the community like yourself, Jose.
Absolutely. And it's so funny because usually people say to me, oh yeah, we really like the literary program. I almost corrected you, but you're a literary program. We're literacy. And the two do meet. So, yes. And so you offer...
people get us confused.
Do they call you literary?
Yeah, we get that a lot.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, all right. I'm glad. It makes me feel better. And so you offer, through Writers Inc., you offer classes, group sessions, workshops, readings, what you would find maybe in a literary event or a literary organization.
Just ask that one more time. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's. I'm just looking at other aspects of your work. That's the classes and groups.
Oh, yeah, we do all the things.
Yeah.
Yes, I can speak to some of those. For sure. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
We are primarily in the Zoom sphere at the moment, but we've been very successful in trying to do all of those things. So we're looking at free writing opportunities for writers. So we run an anthology yearly where people can submit to that. We have a conference. We basically have programs that are running every day. So if you're looking for something as simple as just dropping into a writing program and kind of getting your feet wet that way, or we have longer reading critiques. These are people that want to workshop their pages week by week with a group of people. Our organization has been around we're entering our 17th year, but there were variations before then. And some of these drop-in writing programs, one of them has been going on for 25 years. So we have lots of great programs, some that are brand new, some that are kind of tried and true. So I'm very happy that I get to helm all of these great things for our community.
And how long have you been doing this?
I am in my 9th year. So I've been there since 2013.
Wow. Okay. Very good. Continuity is important. It's a great asset.
Yeah.
So, and they have you, and that's fantastic. Who are the people who join up with you? Because as I was listening to the description, you can have people who are writers who want to write better, people who are writers who want to get published, people maybe who are emerging writers, they want to be better writers. Who do you typically hear from?
We get, I'm honestly, I'm not just copping out, we get all of those things. We get people that come into the office or give me a call and say, I've always wanted to get involved in writing and I just don't really know how to. I have people, get this, I love it, I have a degree in writing, but I'm not a quote unquote writer, which I talk a little bit later. We have people that want to pen their memoirs, just have a really interesting story. Just all sorts of people that are really advanced maybe in one genre and just want to flip it over and try something else out, like screenwriting or poetry or what have you. So we have a large collection of people, kind of young and old as well.
Wonderful. Now, here's a question I have because I think I know enough. I can say it's not just the people who are coming to you who want to be better writers, but your support people, your volunteers and your board members. They love literature, and you have some accomplished writers in that group. We could talk about some of them, but why do they do this? Why do they work with Writers Inc.?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great we could phone a few of them up right now if we just got the bandwidth. But I mean, you're right. The first one that kind of springs to my head is Tammy Greenwood. She's been doing this for a really long time. She's one of those book a year kind of authors. Marnie Friedman is really entrenched in the memoir world, and she created the San Diego Memoir Association and the Writers Festival here in San Diego. Ron Salisbury, who's our poet laureate in San Diego, the first one ever. I mean, you're right. There are just these amazing folks, and I think they're afflicted with, if you will, what a lot of teachers are afflicted with, which is just this spirit of giving back and helping, and just really, really wanting to contribute what they know. And it's kind of why I stay with the organization too. It's so amazing to just see people's lives change in like big and small ways, from instruction or finding a group of people or things like that. So I think that they just get, not in a bad way, addicted to that feeling. It's a good feeling to have.
Very nice. So why do you do this? Why have you been with the organization? What brought you into it initially?
You want my honest answer?
Yes. No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
No, it's not a bad answer. So I was a magazine editor before this, and fortunately I've been able to spend a lot of my career kind of working from home online. So in that regard, the pandemic wasn't a huge shift for me. I kind of worked outside the office for most of my career. But the truth is, I really got tired of just looking at my dog one day, like just sitting in the house. And I was like, I got to find another gig where I see people,
Right.
So there was this cute little writers organization that was in downtown at the time. And I took a very, very part-time program assistant position because I just I appreciated the flexibility of my work, but I wanted to see other writers, and I was just intrigued. I was curious by the work that they were doing there. And then, a little less than 6 months later, their ED stepped down, and I was kind of the next in command. And I hadn't run a nonprofit before. I'd run magazines before, but had some great folks that kind of helped me along the way and taught myself some things, and so here we are.
Wonderful. Now, how would you? There's a number of ways I want to phrase this question. So let's talk about the written word and preserving it and seeing. I just talked to a friend of mine. She retired from teaching. She was an adult educator, and she said, "I just got tired of the quality of the student writing." Can you talk to that?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, you may have said that.
She's a college. She's a college.
She's college.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I did a little brief stint at SDSU in the rhetoric department. I was getting my master's there, and reading a lot of the student writing. And I think it depends on the institution that you're at. I think, gosh, a long slog of just reading bad essays too, but. I don't know. I feel like I read a lot of good writing, and I feel optimistic that people can learn that skill. And if not, there are just really great editors out there. So I'm really most concerned with people just getting words down on a page.
Well, here's the thing, and when I look at it now that I've asked the question and you've answered it, you're in a network of people who are coming to you. They're not reluctant writers. You're in a network of people who come to you. Otherwise, they'd stay away, right? And they want to write, or they want to write better. And then they're surrounded by folks who have that same interest and such. So you're probably not going to see maybe what a person might see who's an educator and has students who maybe they don't have the skills, and maybe we can talk a little bit about that, but who don't have it, right?
Here's the difference.
Yeah.
So your friend is coming from the education world. I remember what it's like to be an undergrad, just kind of trying to turn stuff in and burning all the candles from all the ends and everything like that. So I definitely think I can't speak to the quality of the writing so much as the intent of the students. Right. And I think that's one of the selling points that I kind of give first-time instructors for us. I say, and maybe this helps answer your question more, I say if you have been working on like a college level, you'll notice that the people here at Writers Inc., they may not have the skill level, but they are so much more engaged because they want this.
Yeah.
They don't have to take this as a class or anything like that. They're just really, really interested. Yeah. And I mean, you spoke to kind of, trepidation and things like that. Like, oh, it's there. Like, they are reluctant writers. Like, you kind of have to guide them and push them in the door. Like, people are really hesitant to write. Like, it's a big deal for a lot of these people.
It's quite a thing. I'm cutting you off only because, and it's not like a abrupt cut off, but we're going to go into break. That's why I'm telling you that.
How rude.
I know, it's awful. Because it was actually, I want to come back to that topic and the whole spirit of writing. So we're really glad to have you on the show, Kristen. This is Kristen Fogle. She is the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc., and you're listening to the Literacy for All radio show on WS Radio, the worldwide leader in Internet talk. We'll be right back.
Homeless veterans and their families are suffering and need our support, but many won't ask or don't know that help is within reach. Veterans Community Services is here to help. Amazingly, about 35% of the homeless in our neighborhoods are veterans with families. Low-income veterans or their friends are encouraged to contact Veterans Community Services and reach out for help with housing and other services. Call now, 800-974-9909.
I'm Dr. Janet Woodcock, Director for the Center for Drugs at FDA. If you've recovered from COVID-19, confirmed by a positive test, you're in a special position to help us fight the virus. Your plasma has antibodies that can fight COVID. Please donate plasma now. You can help save lives. There are locations across the country that have safe ways for you to donate. Find a site to donate your plasma at coronavirus.gov.
Produced by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services at taxpayer expense.
This is Bill Gruber with BizVid Communications, a Southern California video production leader. We've been honored to sponsor, produce, write, and host many of the fine programs on WS Radio over the years. So we understand how important the internet and your website exposure are. As video producers, we know the tricks and secrets to incorporate video to increase your search engine optimization and business success. Visit bizvidcommunications.com to see what we can do for you. BIZVID communications.com.
Tired of presentations with no impact, no inspiration, and no traction? Do dull speakers have you and your team disengaged and distracted by smartphones? Christopher McCullough brings energy, insights, and 2 decades of experience, delivered with punch, humor, and heart. Your team will leave energized, uplifted, and with a sense of purpose. Visit ChristopherMcCullough.com to bring some heat to your next speaking engagement. MCAULIFFE. ChristopherMcCullough.com.
Can you imagine a world without children? A world without their smiles or their laughter? A world where children don't play or sing or dream or imagine?
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we can't imagine a world without children. That's why we're working every day to find cures for diseases that strike down children everywhere. Diseases like cancer, pediatric AIDS, and sickle cell. And we won't stop until every child is cured and every disease is defeated. Because we can't imagine a world without children. Can you?
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. To learn how you can help, log on to our website, stjude.org.
Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
The San Diego Council on Literacy brings you Literacy for All with your host, Jose Cruz.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Jose Cruz from the San Diego Council on Literacy. You're listening to the Literacy for All radio show, and we're talking to Kristen Fogle. She's the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc., and I just love that name. You have to read it, though, I-N-K, Inc. That's awesome. And Kristen, just we talked a little bit about reluctant writers versus the people that you see. Do you have people that you see that they're reluctant writers, or just scared, or people not really excited about sharing their work? Is that a thing that people have to get through?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, there is some reluctance there. I was one of those people that wasn't into sharing my writing. I was leading these drop-in writing groups for a couple of years before I was even. Mm-hmm. I felt like I could share my work in a room with people. It's fascinating. And I mean, I come from a theater background, right? Like, yeah. I have no qualms about like belting out the national anthem in front of 1,000 people, but I'm like, oh my God, there's 3 people in the room that are going to read, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so weird. We're so weird with the written word.
Yeah. Well, it's us. It's, what's coming outside of us. And that's really, really opening up. So what do you tell people? I mean, I guess one of the things you might say is, the worst thing that could happen is, but people are really supportive, aren't they?
Yeah, we have really, really supportive groups, and it's very low stress. So you can share or you cannot. No one's going to pressure you or berate you or make you feel bad if you don't share. It's really just about the writing and the experience. So I think people just need to write. You just need to do it. You need to kind of take the leap. And then from there, if you feel like sharing it, hopefully it'll come in time. Yeah. But that's just, just write is like 90% of the equation of being a writer.
Gotcha. So I have a question. I have actually a conversation I have with myself because I write, and I don't have a lot of time. And I just think to myself, people tell you all the time, join a writer's group. And I was like, well, what's, okay, I could do that, but I don't really need that. What's the downside? What's the upside? Am I better off joining a writer's group? Convince me.
Ooh, you don't need, why do you feel that you don't need that? That's my question back to you.
Well, I guess not knowing, maybe I've done it a little bit. And, part of it is, and I have to tell you, is, trusting the people that you're in the room with, right? And I've only been in small groups. And so maybe I haven't had the experience that you promote for folks. So,
sure.
So I've shocked you a little bit. So you know this, don't you? It's absolutely, absolutely a benefit. Yeah, you should.
In theory, I will say it may not be for everyone. So I wouldn't just, and that's kind of my thing with Writers Inc. is let's figure out a spot for you, and if none of them work, or if we can find you another organization, like it's all just kind of about helping you get to where you need to be. But the upside of a writers group, for me, for one, I think is accountability, in that you have to write something each week, or you literally don't have anything to do. Right. You just sit there. So I think that is a number one for me, even before the critique aspect, which is kind of number 2. And I'm assuming that you're talking about a read and critique sort of writing group, because there are a couple of different kinds. Yeah. So a read and critique group, especially if it's facilitated well, and we have a lot of wonderful facilitators with us, but certainly you could create a program on your own with someone who facilitates well. A good facilitator will make sure that you're getting what you need. And like with our reading critiques too, I always tell people coming in, I say, make sure that this is going to be a commitment, and that you're not just going to go for a month and drop out. A lot of these people have been doing these reading critiques for a long time, have gone through several books in this reading critique. So they've been there for the long haul. So they know what type of, like if you and I were in a group, I'd know, I'm going to get this sort of feedback from Jose or, do you know what I mean? So you start to understand each other and kind of mind meld in a way. But yeah, I think it's a fantastic way to kind of just get your pen moving.
Very good. Very good. It's a good motivation. Tell us about the Writers Festival.
So the Writers Festival is not through us. It's through Marnie Friedman. We participated in the Writers Festival a couple of times, but she's really put together just this great, I think that she saw a need, saw the UT Festival of Books, which was pretty successful, and I'm terrible with years, so don't tell me when any of, I don't know when any of these started. I want to say everything is 2 to 5 years ago.
Right. No,
in there.
I can tell you because we've been to all of them. So the first two, the first 2 or 3, and I want to say this is the 5th year. Last year was virtual. This year will be virtual. It's in August. And then there are either 2 or 3. There are 3 because I remember our 3 locations. So we had 3 live ones. This was at Liberty Station, which is where you're based, right? So you didn't have to go very far. I mean, you're in Liberty Station.
Well, I think the UT Festival of Books was at Liberty Station.
That's correct.
It was there for 2 years. And then the San Diego Writers Festival was at the public, there's so many events. They all just blend together for me too.
Yeah, sounds the same. Yeah, sorry.
No. So that one was at the Central Library. I think they did the Coronado Library. Then they were online, and then they're online this year.
Okay.
Yeah. But both events are just really amazing. The Writers Festival is geared more toward writers. So there are a lot of different programs that you can go and get these really quality instructors and hear really amazing speakers. Marnie's lined up these amazing guest authors. I don't know how she does it. She lined up the woman from Orange is the New Black, the real life Piper who wrote the book, went to prison, all that sort of stuff one year. She was fantastic. The UT Festival of Books is good for both writers and readers.
Oh, yeah.
So, people who are just interested in reading can come and walk around to the different author tables and things like that. And, so both events are just really great.
So who puts on the Writers Festival if it's not you?
I think it's the Writers Festival is, they're their own entity. So the San Diego Writers Festival is just kind of them. But they were born out of the San Diego Memoir Association, which kind of came out of Writers Inc. as well. So we're kind of loosely affiliated, and we help them as well. So, yeah.
And so when is this taking place? I'm just curious, actually, this year, or is it?
Oh, my gosh, more pop quizzes.
Oh, goodness. Sorry, Ryan. You got to check your calendar. Oh, man. Well, is it going to be virtual? No, you probably know that.
As far as I know, it is going to be virtual.
Okay.
And I think so it is coming in 113 days. So I don't know. I can't do that kind of math.
Well, let me think here. So that's July. That would be July. Pretty sure. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
June
I
or
just
July.
Look below. Yeah, July 17th and July 31st are 2 dates that are listed here.
Nice. Okay, real good. Just in case people are interested and they want to know more about it. Yeah, excellent. Well, there's tell us maybe we'll go to break in a few, but tell us maybe just how well the Zoom version of Writers Inc. has worked for you, especially given, like, say, your anthologies and your work groups and such, and the classes.
Yeah. So it's funny. We're almost exactly a year from when everything kind of changed last year, and so this time last year it was not going so well. Everything, we're trying to put everything online, and instructors and students were just freaking out. This is new technology, wasn't sure it was going to happen. And now a year later, I've just sent out a message to my instructors And most of them are really happy on Zoom. They love teaching in their pajamas. They love that they can go on trips and connect with people while they're away. People have gotten really comfortable in the digital sphere. So it's kind of cool to look back and just see how fraught everything was. And now it's good. Like, there's still things to work out. There are things that could be more efficient, but I mean, we've been able to get people from Portugal and the East Coast and all over. So that connection piece is really great.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting that, I have, I'm actually the president of the Lions Club, the downtown San Diego Lions Club. And as soon as I became president, we went into this time. So they call me the Zoom president in Zoom, because I've never had a live meeting with my members. But there are things that have happened that may not go back. Now, I say that, and I have people push back and say, Jose, you don't know how much we miss being together. And I get that. But there's, like you're saying, nobody's going to just show up from Portugal to be part of your group. Now you're international because you have Zoom, and anyone can access it. They're not going to have to drive across town or travel to America, whatever the case might be. It's kind of opened things up in a way. So
and what in the midst of all of this just crap that we've experienced in the last year, what a great gift or side effect of that we had to bite the bullet and do this new kind of model of teaching, something that we wanted to do, but it was always 30 priorities down the list. And we got to do that and be successful with it. And now, because of all this,
we're going to break. I'm sorry. We'll be right back. Kristen, I know, right? Time's flying by. Hey, this is the Literacy for All radio show, and we have Kristen Fogle, and we'll be back with her. We're on WS Radio, the worldwide leader in Internet talk.
Does your business do a lot of shipping and wish you could get more for less? Stamps.com is the solution. It's the ideal way to automate and simplify your e-commerce shipping needs. Easily import all your venues like eBay, Amazon, and others. Trips to the post office will soon become a memory. Stamps.com gives you postage on demand. Just click, print, and mail at discounted shipping rates. See why so many e-commerce businesses have switched. Visit Stamps.com.
I raised $8,000 to build schools for South African children. After realizing how many people go hungry in San Diego, I now volunteer at a food pantry.
I'm spending the next year doing volunteer projects across 3 countries and helping in ways they designate to be the most helpful.
The WorldLink program at the Joan B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice recognizes the potential of youth as agents of social change. Learn how you can help youth become a generation of leaders in action at peace.sandiego.edu.
Love to read but just don't have the time? With Audible.com, you can catch up on reading simply by listening. Audible has the largest collection of digital audiobooks, over 85,000 titles in every genre. Listen to a bestseller on your iPhone, BlackBerry, Android smartphone, or one of 500 other compatible devices. Visit audible.com/WS Radio today and get a free audiobook when you try Audible free for 14 days. That's audible.com/WS Radio.
I've heard this is like one of the best pizza spots in town.
Yes, it is.
I'll do a slice of pepperoni, slice of vegetarian.
You got it.
And I will pay for all of that in 3 days.
In 3 days?
What's that mean? Well, wait, you accept credit cards. That money's not going to hit your account for 3 days anyway.
I need my money quicker.
At Chase, we hear you. With Express Funding, card payments are in your Chase account the next business day. Go to chase.com/expressfunding. Chase for business, so you can.
Compensated participation. All businesses are subject to credit approval. Not all clients are eligible for next business day funding, and additional terms, conditions, and restrictions apply.
Can you imagine a world without children? A world without their smiles or their laughter? A world where children don't play or sing or dream or imagine?
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we can't imagine a world without children. That's why we're working every day to find cures for diseases that strike down children everywhere. Diseases like cancer, pediatric AIDS, and sickle cell. And we won't stop until every child is cured and every disease is defeated. Because we can't imagine a world without children. can you?
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. To learn how you can help, log on to our website, stjude.org.
Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
The San Diego Council on Literacy brings you Literacy for All with your host, Jose Cruz.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Jose Cruz from the San Diego Council on Literacy, and you're listening to the Literacy for All radio show on WS Radio. We're talking to Kristen Fogle. She's the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc. Kristen, the thing that's occurring to me in this conversation here in our third segment is just how much all of you care that people write. That, and it's not that you just love writing as writers, but you love when other people write. And you and I have talked before this show, and I understand. I know about your interest in expanding Writers Inc. into our libraries. What is going on in the thinking of your thinking and the leadership and the investors in Writers Inc.? Why are you doing this?
I don't know. I mean, we've always kind of had this long-standing dream of being able to reach, every writer in San Diego, as big and audacious as that sounds. But that's, I think it's a lofty goal. But I would love to see us in all of the libraries in San Diego supporting programs, being able to fill gaps that there are. And I'm just really passionate about having people tell their stories. And I got to say, not for the purpose of being published, not to be famous, but just because I think it's so important for us to tell our stories. Particularly now, we're living through such a weird political climate and a medical climate and all of these things. We need to talk about them. So, I'd love to hear from more people and get us more entrenched in the rest of San Diego.
You brought up a good point. And let's see if I can remember the author of this book. You'll tell me. Anne Lamott. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Bird by Bird?
Yeah.
I read that. And what I got from it was, a lot of things, but one of the things that I got from it, and she says it, and I think it's somebody else's quote, because it seems she teaches writing. People want to write novels, and they're just so disappointed that they don't get published. And I think one of the quotes is, if you weren't somebody before you started writing, you're never going to be. And so I'm not sure how much you see that with the folks that you're with, but I hear you saying, there's joy in telling your story. There's joy in writing and finishing a work. A publication is, it's a nice goal. It's fun, but it's not necessarily, what motivates folks, nor should it be. Would you agree with that?
I would half agree with that, because I think that there are always going to be folks that is the motivating factor.
Mm-hmm.
I think you kind of hit on, hit on something there, that you need to develop your sense of self elsewhere. If you're looking for, and it's the same in, like I told you, I have a theater background, and a lot of those people get into the film industry, and it's the same thing there. You see people kind of trying to gain self-worth or be someone through doing these creative projects, whatever they look like. But I think I'd really like to see people glom on to just the joy of writing and just using it as a writing practice, and having us not take writing so seriously. Like the kind of the analogy that I always use is everybody went through this big yoga craze, right? And everybody's a yogi, even if they just go and do yoga once a month, right? Why don't we feel that way with writing?
Yeah, I'm a writer.
Writing every single day, but nobody's like, I'm a writer.
I'm a writer.
Kind of
yes.
My example earlier with the creative writing degree, I have a creative writing degree, but I'm still not a writer. I think we need to just start getting over that mental block.
Yeah, there's some places where I kind of like, okay, if you write, you're a writer, however much. I mean, there's people in our line of work now. You and I both work for nonprofit organizations, and there's people who call themselves grant writers because that's all you have to do is call yourself that. You don't have to be one, or you don't have to be a good one. But if you're a writer, you're right. You've probably seen that. You're a creator. I mean, you're producing works. It's coming from you. It's yours. It's original. And there's value in that outlet and in sharing it. So
absolutely, and even in not sharing it. I mean, another person that I like besides Anne Lamont is Julia Cameron. She wrote The Artist Way, which is good if you're any sort of creator. And she does this process called the morning pages, where she just writes longhand, once a day, a couple pages, and she never looks at any of that stuff ever again. Like people that do that process, some of them, they just burn the pages after they're done. So, the sharing part, even that's debatable.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I have a journal, and occasionally I might read what I just wrote, but in general, here's whatever, 200 pages of stuff that I'm never going to go back and read. So I get that.
Yeah.
Last year for the Union Tribune Festival of Books, I had the honor of interviewing Robert Craze. Does that name ring a bell to you? He's
I don't think so.
He's a crime writing novelist.
Okay.
And I asked him about writing and his motivation and audiences and such. And he says, I write for myself. And that surprised me because I was told you don't just write, let's say, art for art's sake. You do it for an audience. But not necessarily, huh?
I mean, for me in particular, it's a part of my daily practice. It helps me get clear about what's going on in my world and helps me process things. So it's, for a lot of people, I think it's a mental health thing too. It doesn't have anything to do with anyone else. It's having us make sense of all this. Yeah. And then, from there, I think if you have a good sense of self, then you can start the business of connecting to other people.
Yeah. Well, you just help me and tell me if this resonates, even though you might not be writing about God. Writing in a journal is kind of like praying, would you say?
I'm so glad you brought that up because I'd actually changed my yoga metaphor in my head the other day, and I was like, it's like we all gather for, or at least religious people gather to praise for, and why don't we do that with writing? It is a form of prayer. It is a form of reverence and of taking it all in and being aware. So I think that's totally accurate.
Okay,
for sure.
Did I just invent that? I'm just kidding. But
I don't know. I mean, I want to kind of take partial credit, but we can work out.
We'll work it out. We'll work it out. But you know what? It is a incentive. It is incentive. It is a reason to write. I think a lot of the answers are within us, and we just don't process them, and we get all twisted up in right in life and all. And so here's an outlet that again all of you are so interested in sharing and promoting with people. And then there are those folks out there who are at the lower, that's not their best word, but they're at the end of the writing spectrum. You know what I mean? That they're just emerging, what we do in our literacy work. They're just emerging as readers and maybe struggling with that. Do you have folks that come in at that level? And we're going to come back into that topic when we go to break. But just, do you have folks who come in, their grammar's not good, their spelling's not good, and should they even worry about it?
Yes, we have folks that kind of need some help with those nuts and bolts. We don't deal with them in the same way that maybe you guys do, but I think that there's room for improvement, and if they want to learn to be a better writer, we can certainly help them do that. And again, if that's not of interest, you do have some great editors.
Right. Very good. Okay. So there's that, the skills aspect of it. And then there's, the things that come out creatively, from some of the things that maybe an emerging writer or any writer might come up with. We're going to go to break in 2 minutes, but I do have a personal question It's actually my question. It's not personal to you. It's personal to me. I've just compiled all my poems, and I'd like to put them all into like a nice package and stuff. Do you have people like me who come to you and they say, "Hey, help me out with this"? And have you done something with some anthologies of poetry?
Yeah, that's so great that you're doing that. I would recommend, if we had one on the books, which we don't at the moment, taking a course on how to create your own chat book. Since we don't have something like that, I would connect you with one of our poets who could hopefully sit down with you and kind of guide you through the process like that. But yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I want to do it. I have some good stuff. Now, I'm going to say something right now. It's going to sound terrible. Now, novels, good books, we love them. Books of poetry, I'm the biggest fan of my poems. But and then from there, maybe somebody might read a couple. It's a different kind of literature, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, but there's some love for that. I think good poetry kind of speaks for itself. So
yeah. And what do you like to write? Are you a novelist?
So I'm not a novelist. I have 2 books out, which we can speak to later. But I do some playwriting. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where my head is at lately. I'm kind of doing a lot of teaching and playwriting myself.
All right. Okay. I want to talk more about that and the whole part of writing that's dialogue and playwriting and what that is and such, and maybe a little bit more because this is a literacy show. Anyway, we're going to come back with Kristen Fogle. You're listening to the Literacy. What is this show's called? This show is the Literacy for All radio show on WS Radio, the worldwide leader in internet talk. We'll be right back.
Thank you for listening to WS Radio. Improve your business and your life with useful information from experts and thought leaders. WS Radio is radio with ROI.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is working to help keep you and your community safe from the threat of novel or new coronavirus. Take the following everyday steps to help avoid the spread of all respiratory viruses. Wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Cover your cough or sneeze with a tissue. Throw the tissue away and then wash your hands. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects or surfaces, such as remote controls and doorknobs. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. And stay home if you are sick. Call your healthcare provider if you develop fever, cough, or difficulty breathing. For more tips, visit cdc.gov.
Can you imagine a world without children? A world where children don't play, or dream, or imagine?
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're working every day to find cures for diseases that strike down children, because we can't imagine a world without children. Can you?
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. To learn how you can help, log on to our website, stjude.org.
Homeless veterans and their families are suffering and need our support, but many won't ask or don't know that help is within reach. Veterans Community Services is here to help. Amazingly, about 35% of the homeless in our neighborhoods are veterans with families. Low-income veterans or their friends are encouraged to contact Veterans Community Services and reach out for help with housing and other services. Call now, 800-974-9909.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the coaches training program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
The San Diego Council on Literacy brings you Literacy for All with your host, Jose Cruz.
Welcome back to the show. We're in our fourth segment, our final segment, and we've been talking to Kristen Fogle. She's the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc., and there's a lot going on over there. So I'm trying to figure out how to use this last segment with you. Kristen, what are the things that you want to know about San Diego Writers, Inc., which direction you're trending, what's coming, and why people should join up with you?
Yeah, I think just we have such a breadth of programming that I really think that there's kind of something for everyone. And I think, like I mentioned earlier, if we don't have something, I'm always happy to point someone in the right direction. So I think we're just a good starting point. Some of the things that I'm kind of excited about that are coming up, which you might be interested in, Jose. I don't know if you're working on your poetry stuff. We're bringing back our Room to Write series, which is something that we did in person in our spaces at Liberty Station.
Mm-hmm.
And these are times where you could just come in and you could write with other writers. So you dedicate like these 3-hour blocks to just sitting there and getting things done. So we're going to try this out in Zoom and see what it's like. Everybody's just working on their own projects, and it's free for anyone who wants to join, member, no member, whatever. So that's going to come up. We're going to try it out on April 6th from 9 to 12. So if anyone's interested in that, they can find that on our website at San Diego Writers.
You have done this before?
So we've done it in person before.
Mm-hmm,
so we did this, for a long time. People would come in twice a week. We would offer it on Tuesdays and Fridays, and people could just sit and write in company with each other. And so, I think people are missing that, and it's not the same online, but, we're going to try to offer that. So
that's something I can use. Now, how many people fit into this classroom? Have you ever come to capacity on it?
Like our physical classroom?
Yeah, the physical. We're going to go back to physical.
Yeah. So usually in the summers we do Blazing Laptops, which is a big write-a-thon. Mm-hmm. So we can pack in kind of comfortably like 40 people maybe, like in a space. Mm-hmm. Again, we're dealing with numbers, not my forte. Mm-hmm. The bigger classes are usually like 22, but you can get some folks in there.
So you show up, you go in, you have your laptop or not, a pen, paper. Yep. You're there for 3 hours. You write. Which I love, because that means I have to sit there for 3 hours and write. Right. Versus letting myself jump around like I do. And then, are people interacting at all in the course of doing this? Or they're like, just be quiet, right? You're making a lot of noise. I'm trying to write. Does that happen? Which one is it?
So it's be quiet for the first 15 minutes of each hour, but at 10 to the hour, people usually take a break. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'll notice that people will be in these grooves, like in these group grooves that are coming all the time. Mm-hmm. And those groups seem to kind of take this like dedicated coffee break time if they're in person. Right. So you get some kind of interaction time for about 10 minutes each hour, so you can kind of talk to others. And then on that component, if that's the sort of thing you're interested in, we have the Writers Weekly Meetup on Zoom on Mondays, which is free to members, $7 for non-members. Mm-hmm. But if you really want to get in, I'll get you in. And that is purely like writers meeting other writers mm-hmm. and going into breakout rooms and talking about things that they want to talk about. So that's a good session if you're looking for that.
Wow. Well, incredible. Why not do something that's like 8 hours and we don't feed you, no water, no restroom breaks. You're not going anywhere until you sit here and put in, eight hours of writing. Anyway, that's
well, that's Blazing Laptop, but we do feed you.
yeah,
so we're
yeah.
not that mean.
And you have to have the restroom breaks. So I'm just being silly. I really love that. I mean, and so you want to do that via Zoom, and I guess it would work, right?
Well, Judy Reeves, who helped found the organization, she actually saw a New York Times article where
Mhm.
a lot of people were doing this around the country. And she's like, hey, why don't we bring it back? And, my usual answer to should we do something is like, okay, so we're going to try it out and see if it works.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I love it. Any other things that are coming out?
Gosh, so many things. So we've been working on the San Diego Decameron project with Write Out Loud and the San Diego Central Library and the La Jolla Historical Society. So we ran a contest last year, took about 100 stories from San Diegans, pandemic-related stories, put them online. We had actors that read 10 of the best stories that were chosen by the judges. And so now we're working on the anthology part of that.
Okay.
The actual printed anthology will come out, which I'm kind of helming myself with the La Jolla Historical Society. That should be out in about 4 months or so, which kind of coincides with our San Diego Writers, Inc. anthology, which is in its 14th year. So we have both of those coming up.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I think I heard of that. I think I heard of the readings of the 10
yeah,
right?
got a lot of press.
Yeah, Walter Ritter is a friend of ours, and
nice.
Words
Yeah.
Alive. Yeah, not Words Alive. Write Out Loud. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Yeah, very good. Let's see. Let's ask about before we conclude today's show. Your work in playwriting is your talent. Would you say one of your talents or your talent? Is it dialogue, plotting?
Yes.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Okay. So, I mean, dialogue. I mean, right. Here's what you're doing when you're writing. You're having people that aren't in front of you having a conversation, 2 or 3 or 4 people, and you're having to do that into a script or a play composition, and you have to be comfortable with that. Describe that for me.
You have to be comfortable with that, and you kind of landed on where that can potentially fall short, which is a conversation. So I typically work in the 10-minute play realm. I teach a lot of those classes, and I like the shorter forms myself. So you've got to do a lot of work. I think where first-time playwrights end up falling off is they're just having a conversation. And it's not just that. You've got to establish relationships between characters. You have to drive the plot forward. You have to reveal things about the character. So you're actually doing quite a bit of work in these, seemingly just conversations,
Yeah.
So it's a really cool form. I dig it myself.
Yeah. I've done. It's been a long time, but it is fun. It is a lot of fun, and you can't waste words. I mean, everything supposedly right. It's supposed to have a purpose. It's supposed to fit in for some reason. Yeah. Hey, we have about a minute and a half, Kristen. What is your vision for Writers Inc. or for the writing community in San Diego? And maybe your email address, or however you would want people to get in touch with Writers Inc.
Sure. Yeah, I'd really just like to be a resource for as many people as possible who want to just add writing into their daily lives. And if that looks like kind of what we talked about, journaling and getting your thoughts on the page and helping you understand the world better, great. If it's helping you learn a genre better and going on to publishing, wonderful. So my vision is just to broaden our reach now. I'm always available for questions. Our website is sandiegowriters.org. And my email address is that plus programs, and that's plural, programs at sandiegowriters.org.
Wonderful. And you're in Liberty Station. Just one last question, and we're running out of time, but quickly. How much room, how big is your office space?
Well, we had 3 office spaces before the pandemic, and now we're down to 1 kind of 600 square foot space. Okay. So it's still comfy, but, we're trying to figure out, like everybody else, what we're going to do.
Wonderful.
So, yeah.
Well, we have learned a lot from you. I have learned a lot from you, and just really excited to have to think about some of the things that you're offering at Writers Inc. for me and for others, for our listeners, and because we all have stories to tell, as you've said. So thank you for joining us, Kristen. We're going to have you back one day.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, you've been listening to Kristen Fogle, Executive Director of San Diego Writers, Inc. This is the Literacy for All radio show on WS Radio, the worldwide leader in Internet talk.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
You can reduce your risk of COVID-19 by cleaning and disinfecting frequently touched items and surfaces every day. These items include remotes, tables, counters, light switches, doorknobs, handles, toilets, and sinks. Wear disposable gloves to clean and disinfect. If you can see that the item is dirty, wash first with soap and water or another general cleaner. Then use a household disinfectant to kill germs. Follow manufacturer's instructions for application and proper ventilation to safely use the product. For phones or other electronics, follow the manufacturer's instructions for cleaning and disinfecting. If no instructions, use alcohol-based wipes or sprays containing at least 70% alcohol. Dry surface thoroughly. For more tips, visit cdc.gov.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
I raised $8,000 to build schools for South African children. After realizing how many people go hungry in San Diego, I now volunteer at a food pantry.
I'm spending the next year doing volunteer projects across 3 countries and helping in ways they designate to be the most helpful.
The WorldLink program at the Joan B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice recognizes the potential of youth as agents of social change. Learn how you can help youth become a generation